So far, all our variables have been numbers, and we count up and down and set them to various values. But we can also have different kinds of variables than numbers. For instance, we have the Boolean variable, and I'm just going to create one with the silly name Boolean variable to demonstrate, and that can have the value true, true, or false. That's the only two values this variable can take. On or off, true or false, like a switch that you can toggle. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. Boolean variables are often used as flags, a flag indicating that something has happened that multiple other functions needs to know about. For instance, let's say we had a pause button in this game, and let's actually add one. I'm going to add it here. Div id pause button, and in that I'm simply putting my button. You know what? I don't need the ID for it. I'm just going to create a button with ID pause button and write the word pause. And then I'm going to position that in the lower left corner here. So that will be here. Pause button. Position absolute. Bottom, let's say 2VV and left 2VV. This is our pause button. And if we have an event on that document, query selector, pause button, and I'm going to create a function that calls pause game. So when I click this button, I pause the game, and then ideally this would pause every single container that is running, and so far we just have the ball container here. So that would be class list add paused. So when I press the pause button, it would pause. But there's also this thing with I can click the ball. So this pause game would also have to remove all the click event listeners and then add them again. And we could say maybe that's not something the pause game should really consider itself with. So this would just set the flag. Let game is paused. Let's call it that. And we set that to false initially. And then when the game is paused, we set game is paused to true. And then inside our functions, let's say we don't want to click here, click ball, but we only want it to do something if the game isn't paused. So we say if game is paused equal to false. So only do all this stuff here if the game is paused. And just beautify. And that means I can click and get points, click and get points. And if I pause, I can click, but nothing more happens. No more things are happening, just because I set game is paused, my flag, and then I check that flag here. So this is a typical use of a flag where you have the variable that you have a Boolean value for, you set it to something in one function, and then you check in another function if that has happened. And of course, right now it's a bit silly because we cannot unpause it. So a very, very often used pattern with these Booleans or flag variables is the toggle. So we'll cover that in the next lesson.